Most common drywall repair. Old fist hole. Common fist hole, or someone bumps into the wall. Easy repair. 6" by 6". But we're going to have to cut this all out, put some wood backing in it, put a piece of sheetrock in, tape coat, and do a spray texture. It's like a knockdown spray texture. So a lot of guys think you would just pack this full of mud. I'm sure you can do that, but we're going to actually cut it out and replace the sheetrock. I know on the market they'll sell like these metal mesh repair kits, do-it-yourself kits. Don't use those metal mesh plates. They're such a gimmick. I've taken out more and redid more of those than I can remember. So you always have to do it the correct way. Just cut it out and sheetrock it. First things first, we have carpet here, tight work area in the bedroom. So I'm just going to put a piece of masking tape here, plastic, just to contain my area, because I'm going to cut that out. I'm also going to keep a piece of the cutout so I can give it to the client so they can take that little piece for a paint match. They could take like a 2" by 2" piece to any paint store, and they should be pretty good with doing any paint match. Even though the homeowner probably has the paint, I always give them a piece just in case. The wall here is kind of worn, dirty, so they probably might have to repaint the whole wall eventually. Looks like some nail holes here, so I might address those if they come into play. A very common patch. This is a do-it-yourself type job. That's why I'm making a video like this, but it looks like a perfect fist hole. Never punch holes in your walls, kids. If they hit over here, they hit a stud, you can break your hand. Metacarpals, all those bones in your hands. If you hit something harder than bone, you're going to break your hand. And then you'll be without a hand for half a year, and then you'll still have to pay the drywaller to fix the hole in the wall. So never hit walls. People get angry. Everybody wants to punch drywall, but this is what happens. Now it's going to cost the homeowner over $100 to fix this small hole. So let's get to work. I'm going to get the floor masked off. Then we're going to cut out the area, add some wood backing, 1 by 2s, sheetrock it, tape it with fiberglass tape. I'm going to use a hot mud, 5-minute mud, so I can do a first coat, second coat, and then we're going to texture it with the actual spray knockdown using a joint compound with a spray hopper and a compressor. I'm not going to use a little roller or sponge or a little can of texture. That's all gimmick stuff. I'm going to use the correct way with a hopper, compressor. Of course, if you don't have all that stuff, you can try to use a spray can or stuff like that, but they're paying us to do it the correct way, so we're going to do it the correct way. Well, let's get to work here. I always have 1.5" masking tape on hand. It's easy to work with. I'm going to put a little bit on the wall here. Piece of plastic. If you don't have plastic, you can use tarps, newspaper, old sheet, just something to contain your mess. Drywall is messy. I just tack it right up to my tape here. Easy, easy. There you go. Now I have a nice work area. Several ways of cutting this out. Keyhole saw, of course. Drywall razor knife. Then use a screw gun. Fiberglass mesh tape. Look at my brand new sheetrock knife. Oh yeah, I like this one. Easy to unscrew to switch out the blades. I like it. I like it. If this company's watching, I would be gladly accept these kind of tools from this company. If I could do a level here to mark it straight, but it's pretty straightforward. Go past your area because the damage goes a little past there. And just score it. Nice and square. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to patch it and mud it anyways. Once you score it, you can score it one more time. You go a little deeper, go deeper, go deeper. Now I don't have to go all the way. You just want to go enough to be able to snap it. This is the original snap back here. Keep that piece for the paint match. The original snapback. Look at that. Get it all out. If it's still rough on the edge, just follow it with your razor. Follow it with your razor. Make sure it's all clean. If it's still damaged, you can go out wider, higher, lower, whatever you need to be. You can also cut it back to the next stud, but it looks like the stud's all the way over here. The stud's actually right here, but I'm just going to add wood backing. Wood backing, I'm just going to use 1x2s. So I need some wood by 2s, sheetrock screws. These are 1.25" coarse drywall screws made for wood. So these are the go-to sheetrock screws for 1/2" sheetrock. If you're using 5/8 sheetrock, you would use 1 5/8 to 2" screws, but these work perfect for 1/2" sheetrock. Let's go ahead and get a piece of wood in there, and then I'm going to grab a scrap piece of drywall that I had in my worktop. This is a perfect piece of wood right here. It's kind of goofy to hold a big piece of wood like that, so like I show you in a lot of my patching videos, I like to do a cheater screw. Basically I can hold on to that screw that I put in and get the piece of wood inside the wall. Since it is a big piece of wood, now I can hold it into place as I put screws through the old sheetrock into the wood, pulling towards you so the screw will catch the wood. But you want to do a couple screws. One might pop the sheetrock. So I got one on each side, 3 screws. There you go. Now you have something to screw to. It's more than enough piece of wood, piece of scrap sheetrock, 1/2" sheetrock. I'm just going to line it up. Bottom, top, cut that, snap it. Top. We're just patching in holes. If need be, you can whittle down the sides with your razor until it fits. Whittle it down like you're whittling a piece of wood, but you're whittling sheetrock, just cutting it down. The simpler way is I kind of cut the piece of sheetrock first, then template with the pencil. You can do it that way. There's several ways of doing it. Just patch it in. See, it's great, nice smooth razor, cuts nicely. Hold the razors. Cut the sides a little more. Nice and tight. Look at that. Push on the bottom. Push on the top. This piece of wood's wide enough so I can put some on the outside edge even. That's more than enough screws. I already have my mud on hand, but I want to scrape this. Since I already have my mud mixed up, because it's such a small patch, when I went out to my truck to grab the wood, I mixed a little bit of hot mud. This I'm going to push in like a pre-fill. Pre-fill. See how it got in the gaps? Screws are not set. Make sure screws are set. 6" knife, fiberglass mesh tape. Since I pre-filled it and the pre-fill's still wet, that tape will stick in there and hold. Go over your joints. You don't just partially, you have to go all the way across the seams. I don't care what people say about fiberglass tape. It works the best. These ones went past the line here. I'll even overlap it. So the corners are overlapped. That just gives it extra strength. It's not needed, but I'm going to do it anyways. Another way of cutting it's with your 6 and just hold it and just pull it. Push down. Sometimes fiberglass does make these little stringies, so you can pull those little stringies off an hour later. Coat it. I could use my 6" knife to coat it, but I already have a coating knife. Just go over it. Nothing to it. Alright. For 5 minutes. I mixed in the truck already when I went out there, so it's already starting to set up. I mixed way more than I needed to. That's okay. But you want to clean out your tools. If you're using quick set muds, you don't want those quick set muds to dry. So I'm going to go out there, clean out my pan and knife right away. I don't want this mud to dry on my knives. As this is setting up, I'll put away all my hanging tools. I no longer need those. Nice rock knife. I always check my drill. Battery's good for the next job. If need be, I'd charge my drill right now so it'd be ready for the next job. Remember that piece of drywall? I said keep that for the paint match, so don't throw that away. But yeah, we'll just give that a few minutes to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to clean my tools. I'm going to get the air compressor ready, the hopper ready, the hose, and my texture mixed up. I'm using a regular joint compound. So I'm going to let this set up, and then we're going to slick it out. I put the coat on heavy enough, so if I slick it out good, I might get away with just a slick out process and texture. If it's still deep, then I'm going to have to follow it through with a tight second coat. But the slick out process in between is almost like a second coat. So first coat heavy, slick it out real good. The hot muds, it's almost like a second coat. Then I'd follow through if need be, if it's still deep, and do a tight third coat, I guess you would call, since a slick out's considered a second coat. Alright, gave it a few minutes. It's definitely dry. Take your damp sponge. Getting rid of that edge. If you're using joint compounds, you would just sand this and sand away the edges, but take a sponge. There's gooey drywall right here, so get those off. The slick out technique. I'm pushing down pretty hard and I'm taking off the extra materials. You can go either direction. This is flatten out the patch. Since I built up the mud, it's taken off all the extra mud. It's help feathering it out. I let that dry for a couple minutes. Since I use a wet sponge, it's wetter on the edges, so I let it dry for a couple more minutes. I got my hopper ready. I got a little bit of joint compound in here. I'm going to turn on the compressor, let it fill up with air. Get everything ready as that's starting to dry. I'm just gonna hopper. You kind of adjust. Hoppers are different. This one I have to adjust it down there. I spray on the plastic to kind of get my texture design. And I sprayed it out past. I fixed a little hole there. And I spray a little bit up there. Nothing to it. My hopper, it's the middle tip that's most common for most knockdowns. Hopper out of the way. Knockdown. I know a lot of guys think you have to let mud set up before you knock down. Maybe if you're using a powder form knockdown, but this is a joint compound. If you wait too long, it will drag. So people that say you need to let it dry, set up before you knock it down, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm using a straight 6-inch knife. I'm just gliding over it. I'm not pushing down, keeping my knife clean. That's why I keep a sponge with me. Just doing a light knockdown, light knockdown, light knockdown. Spray knockdowns using joint compounds. I'm going to let those dry overnight. Just pull your plastic. You can put new plastic down if you have to sand primer the next day. Just easier to clean up the mess now. Just lightly sand it, primer it up. Take your piece here. You can take that to any paint store, get a paint match. A little patch like that won't even need a sample, where you can get a quart. Easy. Little sandpaper, 150 or 220 grit sandpaper, or like a foam sanding block. Just give it a quick swipe. A little more effort on the edge to blend it in. Just a quick swipe. You're not grinding it down. Just a quick go over. Let the sanding block or sandpaper do the work. It's just to knock down the grittiness of the texture and help knock down the rounded dots. And then you got a perfect patch. Easy. Don't punch those walls. Look what caused one little 6-inch punch hole. Now you're going to have to paint a good 4x4 area wall just because you punched the wall. So be careful with the walls. Nice spray knockdown. Alright, get everything cleaned up, get everything put away, go wash up your hopper. Always wash up your hopper right away after you're done using. You don't want this mud to dry on your hopper. I've had this hopper for almost 15 years. The only thing I ever had to do was change the O-rings in it, but I keep them cleaned, keep them lubed up, and they'll last forever. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. Hope you like the video. Easy fist hole repair in a bedroom wall. Easy do-it-yourself job you can do yourself. Also on my channel I have several videos of patching, repairs, drywall repairs, stress cracks, easy videos. Watch and learn type videos. So go ahead and jump in the channel, subscribe, and watch the playlist. Thank you.